You are Locked On Tigers POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Woo, baby, that one was tough to watch, man. It was like a nightmare that you could just see unfolding and you couldn't wake up from it. But Yankees walk it off on the Tigers 2-1 in the first game of the weekend series. Welcome into this live edition of Locked On Tigers POSTCAST. We still got the energy. I am your host, Jake Riepma, fired up to be with you as always. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers POSTCAST your first listen. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma or unfollow me for that matter. And here we go. Buckle up, dial it in, because again, this was the type of game I was so excited to get on the air for. Had everything written down. Here we go. The bullpen was great. The starting pitching from Reese Olson was really good, and then it just all crumbled so fast in the ninth inning. But we're going to get through it. We got a lot to talk about, and I'm fired up to do with it. So again, thanks for tuning in to Locked On Tigers POSTCAST, making it your first listen every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. That's right, Locked On Sports Detroit. Help us grow this brand new platform. Subscribe today. Doesn't cost you anything. And tell a friend about it as well, because like I said, win, lose, or I guess the old saying is win, lose, or draw. I'm fired up to talk Tigers baseball, even if it doesn't go the way we plan. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And even though it wasn't a Tigers win today, today's show still made possible by our friends at eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win like the Yankees did tonight, not the Tigers. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. So, again, this is one of those games that you have everything written down. You have exactly what you want to say. It's all planned out. You got your graphics made. You got the thumbnail made. And then it all changes with a horrific ninth inning in which Jason Foley doesn't record and out. So for those joining us on YouTube, thanks for your patience as we're on the air a little bit later. I like when that final out is made and boom, we're live on the air. But sometimes the baseball gods don't always bestow upon us that power. So welcome in everybody tuning in on YouTube. Shout out to Born Cool, who's already in the comments and says painful to watch tonight. Feel for Reese. Kid pitched his ass off, and I completely agree. We're going to get into that in a moment because that's our first segment. This pitching staff was excellent today until they weren't. And the bullpen was excellent until they weren't. But let's start with Reese Olson because that is some positive news. And once again, he doesn't necessarily chew up a ton of innings, but 5 innings, he pitched well enough to win. He gave his team a chance to win. 5 innings of shutout baseball, allowed just 2 hits, and they're at the beginning of the game, really settled in nicely, just the 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. But again, it's a no decision. And I highlighted this, again, apologize as I look down here. I want to make sure I've got it right here on my phone. I highlighted this entering today because I knew Reese Olson's I knew his run support was not kind, but I found this on the old X machine, on the old Twitter machine. Reese Olson came into tonight's game with the lowest run support in baseball. The Tigers have scored 3 runs for him this season. That's less than a run per 9 innings pitched. That's insane. And that's part of pitching. We all know that. We all understand that, the win-loss metric per se in as a way to evaluate pitchers. There's just so many factors outside the pitcher's control. And you look at Reese Olson's important numbers and it checks every box. But the human element comes into this. You feel for the kid because, like Born Cool said in the comments, he pitches his rear end off. He battles up there. He's done it on a consistent basis. And as we just alluded to, this Tigers offense does nothing to help him out. And we're going to talk about the shortcomings of this offense later on in the program. But there were multiple opportunities for this Tigers offense to break this game wide open, and not even break it open, provide an insurance run or something so that your bullpen has zero room for error. And like I said, Faedo, I think that's close to the best he's looked all year. Struck out the side when he came in the sixth. He struck out all four of his recorded outs were strikeouts, and among them were fastballs that he blew by some of the best hitters in the bigs, including Aaron Judge. And when the bullpen, and then chalk one up for Andrew Chafin, induces the ground ball with the double play there to end the seventh inning. Same with Shelby Miller in the eighth. It was all good, and you had so many good things to say about this game until the ninth. And baseball is a team game. I think the old cliche with football, it's the ultimate team game. Do your 111th. But baseball, my goodness, it's a team game. And unfortunately, Jason Foley tonight is the reason this Tigers team lost. And you felt the unraveling happening there in the ninth inning. And let me know if you're tuning in on YouTube what you felt like in the ninth inning. But after Aaron Judge leads off with that single, my palms are sweating. I'm clenching, biting the fingernails and doing this. And you just felt it happening, but you couldn't stop it. It was like watching an avalanche at the bottom of a mountain. You just feel it coming. It's coming. Here it comes. And then whoosh, it takes you out, and the game is over before you know it, before even recording an out. But I'm not here to, sound the alarm. Oh, Jason Foley, what are we doing? When you have that position as you're the closer, you're the stopper, and maybe, AJ Hinch, now with that being another game here recently, the Tigers have blown the lead in the ninth. Obviously, the first game of the doubleheader against the Cardinals, it wasn't Jason Foley. But point being, when the strength of the team is the bullpen, here and there it's going to happen. But now that's two blown saves that you take that out of the equation. And we've been talking about winning series, 4 consecutive series, one entering tonight's game. And obviously this is just the first game of the 3-game weekend series. So there's still an opportunity to win the series. But man, another blown opportunity that you take those 2 games out, the first game of the doubleheader against the Cardinals, and they're identical games in some senses, in which your pitching just pitches so well, and your offense just doesn't give any room for error. There's no insurance there because it's a 1-0 game. And so baseball's a funny game, and you can manufacture a single run without having, your best day offensively. And obviously the Yankees didn't have their best day. Compliments to Reese Olson, to Alex Faedo, to the rest of the bullpen besides Jason Foley. And it just didn't materialize into a win. And that's one thing that is so frustrating. But I say it's frustrating from a fan's perspective. I think it does play a huge role into the player's mindset as well. And we've talked about this time and time again on Locked On Tigers POSTCAST, that there has to be a mental hurdle. And I'm not trying to speak it into existence if there isn't one, but if you're a pitcher sporting the old English D right now, between the offense being non-existent, and again, if you're Reese Olson, the numbers back it up, because no pitcher has received less run support in all of Major League Baseball than Reese Olson. That has to play a factor. But hopefully this Tigers team can continue to be resilient, because again, they lost that heartbreaker against the Cardinals and then came back to win the next 2. They lost the opening game of the series against the Royals, came back to win the next 2. So the series streak is not gone tonight, but a lot of that momentum after winning a series at home, you had the off day yesterday, and this was the game you led for, I guess it was only a few innings with the Tigers scoring in the 6th, but you felt like that was a game you had to have. So a couple of comments chiming in here on the YouTube side of things. Matt Wood commenting, Dan Dickerson mentioned Foley's velo has been down the last few games. Yeah, he hasn't looked like himself. And Faedo was a good example of that, because it felt like he had more velocity tonight. And, his outing of 4 strikeouts and striking out 4 of the 5 batters he faced is a testament to that. So Very good observation there. And Dan Dickerson, obviously one of the best. I've raved and raved about both the Tigers radio broadcast crew and TV broadcast crew, which we'll talk about the TV things at the final segment of today's show. If you see it in the rundown there, I want to touch on the Bally Comcast debacle. I also want to touch on this incompetent offense and some of the shortcomings that just quite frankly need to be addressed. So we will do that. Don't go anywhere. This edition of a Locked On Tigers postcast just getting started. Coming up, we break down this offense's shortcomings. Hey, right now I'm pumped up to tell you about eBay Motors. You know, passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. We're talking superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million. Let me say that again, 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And if you're the Tigers, you're burning excellent pitching outings from Reese Olson. But with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's get back into the offense here because it's one of those things that it felt like a game that we weren't going to have to harp on the offense. We were just going to chalk it up as missed opportunities because there were a lot of them. And the Tigers were 3 outs away from those missed opportunities not costing them. But given the way the ninth inning went, now the reason in a lot of senses that the Tigers lost this game is the inability to capitalize and the inability to cash in and a consistent shortcoming of an offense from top to bottom, 1 through 9. And I have a couple of notes down from where I thought, okay, maybe this offense is making some strides. You know, you go up and down the lineup and it gets repetitive, but Riley Green, that's a guy that consistently puts forth a great plate approach. Another nice game for him. 3 hits today, and obviously his presence at the plate, very good. Mark Hanna, steady, you know, just the 1 hit today. Thought he could have been better, but baseball's a tough game. And now we get into, you know, I will add Wencel Perez, you know, he didn't have a hit today, but he had the 2 walks. He's on base twice, so give him some credit as well. But after that, it's just goose egg after goose egg after goose egg up and down this lineup. And I guess we'll give Colt Keith, before we get into all the negatives, we'll give Colt Keith some credit for that at bat in the 6th inning with the bases loaded. He fell behind in the count, but was able to work a walk. And I think Jason Benetti put it perfectly. That was a big league at bat. And maybe that can give the kid some confidence, because stop me if you've heard this one before, but he's just a guy that looks lost at the plate. And I don't think, you know, you feel like big league exposure and big league pitching is what a young guy like Colt Keith needed. And to start the team, you know, start the season with the big league club, he certainly earned that. But it's also maybe enough of a sample size now where, okay, maybe we start to make some roster transactions, and Colt Keith maybe could benefit from feasting on some AAA pitching and getting that confidence back, because maybe it's just his body language, his mannerisms. I know he deleted all of his social media that was covered by the Detroit media, and, you know, he's trying to block out all the noise. But hey, man, this is the big leagues. This is the show. There's a reason they call it the show. Nobody's going to feel bad for you if you can't figure it out at the plate. We just want production. We just want results. And obviously Colt Keith hasn't provided that, but maybe today is a step in the right direction. If we can take anything from this 2-1 loss, it's that Colt Keith put together a big league at bat, drew the walk with the bases loaded, and the Tigers scored their lone run of that game. in the 6th inning with the bases loaded walk. But in that same 6th inning, my goodness, that's where the frustration sets in, because there was one out when Colt Keith walked home the only RBI, or when he drew the walk, and the Yankees made the pitching change, and you've got a bases loaded with one out situation with runs at a premium. You just have to find a way to get that run home with a bases loaded one out situation. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. It's baseball 101. I'm not going to insult anyone and insult their intelligence and say how important that is, but you chalk that up, and that's just, you can't have that if you are a competing big league club. You just can't consistently not get the job done like we saw from the Tigers here in the top half of that 6th inning. Because anytime a pitcher walks 3 in an inning, you gotta capitalize. So you go back to that 6th inning. Riley Green leads off with a single. Mark Canha strikes out. Then Wenzel Perez, walk. Kerry Carpenter, walk. Colt Keith, walk. So you've got 3 walks in a row, and Hamilton comes in, and this is where it's, when it rains, it pours. I get that. And it's going to sound like I'm picking on Torque, and it goes back to the expectation thing. This is the show. You're a 1 of 1 type of player. You were picked 1 of 1, first round pick, and number 1 overall, however you want to put it. You have the production from last year to back it up. We know you're capable of it. Or maybe last year was a fluke. I don't know. I tweeted it out that my concern level is at an all-time high, and maybe Torque isn't good. And the bases loaded 1 out, you can't strike out. And it's just an inning killer in a game with runs at such a premium. It's so frustrating. And I almost had that same feeling that I had in the 9th inning with Torque up in a big spot, bases loaded, 1 out. You just feel it coming. And I don't know. I've not played baseball at a high level. I've played college football, and sometimes you get in that competitive funk, and it looks like Spencer Torkelson is in a competitive funk. And what that means for him at the plate, he missed a hanging slider, and Craig Monroe talked about it. The second strike of that at bat for Spencer Torkelson, he swung right through a hanging slider that at the very worst, you got to find a way to drive to the outfield for a sacrifice fly at the very, very least. I mean, extra base hit, do some damage, break the game wide open. That would have been great, but beggars can't be choosers. So point being, that is where, based on the way the rest of the game went, that miss with the bases loaded and 1 out and the strikeout from Spencer Torkelson is where this game was lost, is where you look back and you say, Spencer Torkelson, you got to be better. You are a first round draft pick, and you got to figure it out. What does that mean? I saw a couple of people were getting at me on Twitter saying, send him down to AAA. Maybe that is the answer. But a guy that had 30 home runs last year, the production that he had in the month of September, it feels like, the optioning to AAA might be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I guess I need to ponder a little bit more on that. And, I guess we're into the month of May now, where it's just been a disastrous start for Spencer Torkelson. And then McKinstry, I'm not going to harp on it too much, but grounds out to end the inning and end the threat. And McKinstry, yes, with 2 outs, it's a totally different situation with the bases loaded and 2 outs, but that was an opportunity right there in the 6th inning where you felt like, okay, if we don't win this game, we'll look back at this inning and pull our hair out. And the same can be said with the 7th inning. You leave the bases loaded in the 7th inning. That time it was Matt Vierling grounding out. And it's more, I don't want to say it's more of the same, but it's the inability to have that clutch hit that puts the opposition on their heels. And, baseball, there's 162 games, obviously, but you would like to think a team that has had the success that the Tigers had in the month of April could find a way to capture that momentum and put their best foot forward here tonight in a game that should have been won in a lot of ways. So that's my thoughts on it, and appreciate everyone chiming in. We've got some other people on the YouTube comments. Born Cool. Javi was old Javi tonight. He was. I completely agree. This won't be a Say Something Nice About Javi Baez episode because there's nothing nice to say. Sonny Verma, my guy, welcome back. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just had a brief hiatus there to take care of a few things. But yeah, back and better than ever here on Locked On Tigers Postcast. We're going to wrap it up with some studs and duds. And then, of course, our Bally and Comcast debacle, because I have a lot of thoughts on that. So don't go anywhere. Locked On Tigers Postcast continues in a moment. Hey, fired up to tell you about today's sponsor, Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. That's right, Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. I'm one of them. I'm one of 3 million. That's right. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite teams and players. It's real simple. You pick more or you pick less on 2 or more players' projected stat line and watch the winnings roll in. My favorite, pick more on Javi Baez strikeouts. It almost always hits, but you get the gist. We know that the playoffs are in full heat on both the NBA side of things and the NHL side of things, and baseball's in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, take your pick, more or less. Get creative as well. I like doing a little cross sports combination. Was talking to some buddies that were here visiting. They were talking about picking more on a run total. So when you get that last run to up the more, it's a jubilant feeling. I'm telling you what, there's nothing like it. Prize Picks has something for every sports fan, from baseball and basketball to League of Legends and everything in between. So you can pick someone, maybe your favorite NBA player, maybe your favorite MLB player. How about Connor McDavid? Yeah, combine them all in the same entry. It's that easy. And don't forget about Prize Picks, simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. All of what makes Prize Pick the #1 fantasy sports app. Find out for yourself. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. Jake, what did you say? That's right. Download the app, use code LOCKEDONMLB, first deposit match up to $100. It's that easy. Prize Picks, you pick more or you pick less, and you watch the money roll in. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Today's show is also brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, folks, listen up. Game off for a second. We got to pause here and talk more about Monopoly Go because I love it. And I know what you're saying, flag on the play, delay of game. You already talked about Monopoly Go, but guess what? There's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for time tournaments where you work together to build each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get in on. Unique stickers. You can trade with a friend to complete albums for big prizes. There's also cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. Who doesn't love to taunt your friends? Maybe taunt your enemies as well. If I was playing Monopoly Go with Javi Baez, I would use the taunting emojis and smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and download it now free on the Google Play or the App Store. And game on, my friends. And here we go. Studs and duds won't take too long because unfortunately it's everybody's a dud today. There's no studs, and even on the Yankees side of things, it's just, I guess Reese Olson can be our stud with 5 innings pitch, shutout baseball, another tough luck no decision. He deserved to win. He's going to get that first win at some point. Duds, Spencer Torkelson strikes out with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 6th. I've got a lot of duds for this game. The Tigers offense as a whole, minus Riley Green, and anytime you blow a save, you're going to get the dud. So Jason Foley with the dud. Hopefully he can bounce back, but far and away his worst outing of the season. He didn't record an out, so that's just a tough look at it any way around. For the Tigers, they left 10 men on base and 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So it just doesn't, you're not going to win games when that's the case. You're just not gonna win games. Tigers now 18-14, 10-5 on the road. It's a shame. They've been such a good road team. Yankees 21-13, 9-5 at home. Want to talk about the debacle of Bally Sports and Comcast real quick, because as I mentioned, apologize for my absence during the Cardinals series. All is well. Just sold some real estate, had some things to take care of in a closing, and we're back and better than ever. But didn't get a chance to hop on these airwaves when the news became official that Comcast and Bally Sports were not able to reach an agreement. And it's 2 middle fingers to both of those companies. And it's the big cat gif on Twitter, the figure it out. If you're watching on YouTube, you could just see the disgust in my face. But this is just the epitome of losers not having a feel for reality, not having a grasp on what they're supposed to do for the fan, what their product is. Figure it out, get the games on TV. I don't know if Bally's more to blame or Comcast is to blame. That's why it's a double middle finger to both. Fortunately, I've got the MLB TV package, which is a whole nother story, because that's not the most user-friendly or fan-friendly, if you will, venture either. I mean, Major League Baseball makes it impossible to be a fan sometimes, and it's unfortunate. And all we ever hear about is how the game's dying. And I think the the difficulty to access Major League Baseball is a big reason why. Look at the NFL. You can, between Sunday NFL Ticket and the exposure in the NFL, it's easy to be a fan. And some of it, yes, it's thrown in our face. But Bally and Comcast blacking out Tigers game is it's so unfortunate for the fans. I feel for everybody. And I know I've seen a lot of people upset online, and I don't know what to say other than it's a huge FU to both Bally and to Comcast, and the greedy executives and the unfortunate business or lack thereof and inability to figure it out. And yeah, a great point here by Born Cool as well. The Bally Sports app as an alternative is absolutely terrible. I've never used it, but I've heard how bad it is. And I hope at some point, and this is just me talking, it's not any kind of report or breaking news or anything, but it would be neat to see the Ilitch family take matters into their own hands and come up with a Detroit network, similar to the Yankees. Look at the Yes Network, and maybe just, again, tell Bally and Comcast and the other members of the RSN venture to kick rocks and see you never type of thing. So that said, I got the MLB TV package, fortunately, so I'm still able to watch. And like I said, I'm not here to endorse the MLB TV package because I don't think it's great either. But it's if you're a Tigers fan, it's so unfortunate that it's this hard to watch your team. And it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. And I know so much of Metro Detroit and beyond is negatively impacted by this greedy inability to work something out between Bally Sports and Comcast. So major bummer there. And I wish that they would figure it out and come to an agreement so that we can watch the Tigers. But until then, I think listening to the game on the radio is a great option. Dan Dickerson and who's ever his analysts always do a great job. I know Andy, I listened to a lot of the Tigers Cardinals games with Andy Dirks. Bobby Scales, I believe, was who was on tonight. I didn't listen to the radio broadcast, but point being, Dan Dickerson and who's ever he's with are really, really good. So on the TV side of things, it's so unfortunate of what's happening with Bally and Comcast. Fortunately, the MLB TV package, and if you have Amazon, and again, this isn't me endorsing it, but it's really easy to add on to your Amazon Prime Video. That's what I ended up doing at the beginning of the season. But point being, we love the Tigers. And even if they turn our hair gray and we pull our hair out on games like today, we love baseball and we love this team. They're going to bounce back. The 4 straight series streak is not dead. There's still a chance to take the 2 games on Saturday and Sunday to win a 5th consecutive series, which I found interesting is the longest series, 4 consecutive series wins for the Tigers, the longest streak since 2013. That's crazy to think about. But anyways, we'll have more for you tomorrow. Tigers lose this one 2-1 to the Yankees in walk-off fashion. Yankees score 2 runs in the 9th inning. Jason Foley gets the loss after blowing the save. No decision for Reese Olson despite pitching 5 scoreless. Tomorrow, we've got Casey Mize on the bump for the Tigers and Clark Schmidt towing the rubber for the Yankees. First pitch, 1:05, and we'll be on the air afterwards for another Locked On Tigers postcast. Until then, have a wonderful night. Shout out to everybody tuning in on the YouTube. We appreciate you as always. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Tell your friends about it as well because, hey, we love talking Tigers. I love getting to the comments. The more people that we've got chiming in, the better the Locked On Tigers postcast production is. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you next time on Locked On Tigers postcast after tomorrow's game. Tigers and Yankees. Have a wonderful night, everyone.